Right, hello there. Hope you're all well. Just a little video to help you talking about your R185 decision making during performance, and then managing your own performance and your role within team performance. Okay, so lots of things to consider in this little section. But remember, everything you do is going towards your performance and leadership in sports activities. That's what we're trying to do. And the overall aim of this is that I want you to try and think about this idea here. You're going to be thinking about how this makes a difference to your physical performance. So as we move through the video, think about that. Think about your own personal situation. Think about how that makes you a better performer in your chosen sport. So moving on. Decision making. Now, I want to start off by saying, remember, I want you to make really good notes about this. I want you to come back. If you don't understand it, pause it, rewind it, go back, listen to it again. There's no rush on this. It's about being self-paced and learning at your own in your own time. But if you've got any questions, write down a little note to speak to your teacher about it, and then they can explain it in further detail. And you're probably going to have some more questioning around it as and when you go through. But the first part, 1.3, decision making. So here are our keywords. I want us to really consider some of those, okay, when we're going through this. Okay, so really think about what each one means. Okay, so decision making, the process that we're doing, becoming familiar or the familiarity of a situation, your timing, and then reaction time and the appropriate nature of what you are doing. Okay, all good stuff. Okay, so bear that in mind. So let's start with our first area here, decision making. So I want you to think about what that actually might mean. So decision making. Now, apologies for the tapping. Okay, can't really do too much about that, but hopefully you get used to it. So decision making is how we respond to a situation. So write that down. That's really important. How we respond to a situation. And that can be the difference between a positive and a negative experience or outcome. So if we look at this picture here, we can see that we've got some guy here who's got the ball, okay, and he's got the whole field in front of him. Okay, so he's got lots of options that he can do. So he could, if we have a little look here, let's go with, no, green's not a good choice, but let's go with blue again. Okay, so he could make a pass here. He could make a pass backwards. Okay, he could turn his body. Okay, and then he could go around there as well, make another third pass. He could just stand still and look around him in any direction he wants to. He could dribble himself, okay, and go towards goal there. Or he can make a pass through to another player there. So his decision making is how he's responding to what's around him. Now, if we look at this a little bit closer again, we can also notice that he's got 1, 2, 3 defenders pretty close, a fourth person there, somebody who's in his eye line, somebody who's behind him, might not even know he's there at all, okay, but he's got all these people that he wants to potentially be aware of in this situation. So he could take a safe option, he could take a risky option, he could take an individual option, and what we're trying to get an idea of is how we get the correct option. Okay, and this is our next important bit. So if we think about this again as a little thing to think about, okay, the more experience you have in a situation, the easier it will become. So if you've been in this situation, many of you have played football before, okay, the more you are in a situation, the better the outcome. Okay, so think about that and think about your own personal experience, okay? And that word experience is important. So in this situation here, we have got all these options here. Now, you won't be able to see this too well, but he actually made one very simple decision, and that was that he was going to actually pass here. And it's Erling Haaland, okay? So it's a pretty good decision. And part of that will make your decision for you. Who are you passing it to? What's the score in the game? Have you got the opportunity to do something that you want to, perhaps showcase your skill? Have you got the skill set? And this is where we get on to our next point, how it links in with our previous areas that we've looked at of skill and technique. Okay, so if we're making the link between our previous learning, our prior learning, okay, we need to make sure that we make the right decision dependent on our skill, the skill of people around us, the technique that we use, okay, and how we use it. And also, we then got to think about the situation, the game situation, okay, that we are in, okay. All those things help us make the correct decision, okay. Right, fingers crossed, take a little pause, rewind it if you need to, but if not, move on. We've got another example to go. So, this situation here, we've got one of the GOATs, Kobe Bryant, okay, and he's got the ball here, and he is in a triple threat position, okay, so triple threat. Now, when you're being coached or coaching basketball, okay, you look at the triple threat position because it gives 3 options, okay, so you can pass, dribble, or shoot, okay, excuse me. I'm not working. Okay, pass, dribble, or shoot. So you then have got to see what your options are. Okay, you need to know what your decision is. Okay, now if we look at this here, you can just about see that Kobe Bryant's actually just within the 3-point area there. Okay, so he's in an area where he's in a position to shoot, and he can shoot. So we now need to think about what is appropriate. Okay, what is it that is appropriate decision at this time? Now, again, we've got to think about the skill level. We've got to think about our technique. We've got to think about the game situation. If it's the last 5 seconds of the game, he's probably going to take a shot, isn't he? He's going to go shoot it over there. But it also might depend on this guy here, how good a defender he is, how he's been going on during the game. And you need to make the right decision based upon your expertise and your examples that you have done or your own situations that you've been in previously. Okay, so what is it that makes you make those decisions? So have a little think about that. Okay, what is appropriate? What is the appropriate thing? Have you been in those decisions? Have you got any consequences that might be there? Okay, so we've got to then select the correct skill or movement. Okay, and it may be that Kobe Bryant decides that he wants to actually give himself a bit more space, so he might even start moving backwards, okay, back to the court to give him some space between him and the defender, just like that there. So you need to think about that, and that's where this other term of muscle memory, okay, muscle memory, remembering things that happen. Now, we've got all sorts of things that are going on. Our decision making often happens in split seconds, okay, very quickly. Okay, I'm going to put it very quickly there, okay. That could be, like I say, half a second, 1 second, and depending on the level that you play at will also depend about how quickly you need to make those decisions. So again, another bit of note for you to think about and consider how your level that you're playing. If you're playing with a group of 5, 6, 7-year-olds who are novices, you will have more time to make a decision as opposed to if you were a professional footballer where you get less time. So think about that. Moving on to the next slide and our final sort of examples around this. Okay, we've also got to consider other things that are around us. So we've actually got this guy here who's making a tackle in rugby, and he is providing a hazard. Okay, so that's another area, another key word that I want you to consider. Okay, about how you are going to actually get out of deal with that hazard that is in front of you. Okay, so if we think about what that actually means, our hazard is something that can cause us harm, and in this case, it is our tackler. Okay, so what action are you going to take? Okay, so in rugby, it could be that we could run around them, we could actually pass the ball, we could kick the ball. If we actually feel that we are strong enough and big enough and powerful enough, we could also run over them. Okay, so we actually go through the middle of them. And depending on the hazard that's in front of us, okay, depends on our decision. And that will have, again, that speed of thought and the situation we're being in will make us have a better decision the more we are in that situation. So we think about our own safety and think about how we actually do these things, and that will also predetermine what we do. Now, moving on again, we're going to talk about reaction time. Okay. So our reaction time is really, really crucial because it actually helps us make a decision about what we are going to do. So the time taken to decide what we do is our definition. Time taken of what we are going to do is our definition. And you want to sometimes think about what it is. The better our reaction time, the better our decision making and the better our outcome. Okay, so think about how could you actually improve your reaction time. Okay, look that up, research that as an idea about how you could improve that area there. And following on from our reaction time, our final point is this idea of anticipation. Okay, so anticipation. Now, what is anticipation? Now, we all think that it's something that we actually have naturally, but it's something that we learn. Again, it's a skill that we learn and is ingrooved, but it's thinking about what, or predicting what will an opponent or a situation will do or happen. Okay, so in this situation here, we know that this guy here, the Italian rugby player, he's going to be making a tackle that is going to be putting this guy onto the ground. Okay, in this situation, he's trying to go there. So in anticipation, the white England rugby player, okay, he's going to predict that he needs to do X, Y, or Z. Okay, so he's going to predict what he's going to try and anticipate what he should do, because he's trying to think about almost like a little bit of a chess game about what is going to happen in a moment. So hopefully that all those things contribute into what is going to happen about your decision making and in your own practical performance, and you are going to have to be able to describe and give examples of that in your assignments when you are writing them up. So recap: decision making, the process of how we do things and how we decide things, being familiar with the situation, the timing of when we do something, how we react to things as well, and then the appropriateness of those actions. Okay, go back, look at them, have a little think about them.